I'll be with you and we're going to be started at 8 a.m. in 4 minutes. Okay. Hey, that boss is in me. All right, we're going to go live. Well, good morning, folks. Good morning. Welcome to the new Service Geek podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, and we're going to be live every Monday, doing a live webinar every Monday. You're welcome to join us if you're on TikTok. Thank you for being on. Sorry that I don't have slides for you that we're going to be sharing, where we're sharing it live on, but you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Frank, the Pest Geek, but we're going to have the new Service Geek podcast. I'll be dropping some links. You can follow us here. And we're going to be discussing SEM, search engine marketing, and why most people who are doing marketing are marketing out of desperation, especially in this hard time where it is really bad. I mean, it is bad out there. I have a service business. I have 2 employees, and it is tough to keep going. So I'm in the boat with you. I'm not. I don't sell, by the way, I don't sell SEO services. I'm not in the business of selling SEO, SEM, marketing. I sell the knowledge, and I sell the knowledge of how to, from 10 years of doing this in the pest control industry and doing my own SEO, doing how I built a business on SEO only. So, hey, guys, I'm seeing you guys joined us, Bug Boss. A lot of guys, Ball Buster are joining us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the presentation that I prepared. Let me double check here. I'm going to share my screen. And I should be able to share this one or this one. No, it's this one. All right, let's make sure that I'm sharing the right one. All right. And for those of you that are if you want to see it live, by the way, also with the screen presentation, you can follow me, Pest Geek Podcast, on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, in a bunch of places right now, doing it every week. And what I'm going to go into is the reality and the budgets. And most people are marketing from desperation. So the old saying that is, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Most people that are in the startup phase, or they're in the about $150,000 to $250,000 of income, which is about probably 80% of the people following me, that either want to start up or are starting up or have started up. They're in that boat, and they don't have a marketing plan. Most people do not know about marketing. They think that if they hand out, 1,000 postcards, they're going to be successful, and people are going to call them because the average is 1% return on investment, which isn't true. That's going to, if you have the strongest offer out there, where you're priced at where 80% of the market can say yes to you, and you're competing on price only, then you will. But the reality is that it's more like 100. If you hand out 1,000 postcards, you might get one call. That's the going rate right now, because people are being bombarded with about 50,000 pieces of advertising that are going out a day. So most people don't have a plan, and they're falling for the marketing tactics of companies that have figured out where the pricing needs to be that you can afford, but yet it's not going to produce the results. So we're going to talk about budgets and realities of budgets, and where the reality is based on 10 years of doing marketing, and then marketing out of desperation. And this is what we're going to discover. All right, so I'm going to get into here. Let's get into my presentation. All right, so if you're on social media right now, the guys that are following me, let me refresh this. I think it should be going. All right, yeah, it just kind of locked up here. And by the way, you can always ask me questions in the group. I'm watching the questions. When I'm done, I'll answer questions, and I can get into pest control and things like that. If you have those kind of questions, I'll be glad, but I'm sticking to the marketing. You go into the groups, you go into Facebook, go into a social media group, anywhere, and this is what most people ask: what is everyone doing for marketing? Okay. And everybody's telling everybody what they're doing for marketing. Okay. Now, the next thing is, what percentage should I be spending on marketing? And then how many leads per month are you guys getting for this kind of deal? This is kind of like the three basic questions that everybody asks over and over and over and over. And I'm on about 100 service groups. Sorry, I'm getting a cold, so I'm going to be probably coughing a bit. But everybody's asking these questions. This is the average. And then you'll get all the 100 plus comments on there, ranging from everything sucks to a number that people just pulled out of their butt and don't really have a clue of what they're talking about, because they'll say, well, I hear that it's this, and I've seen that it's that, and somebody said it's this. But when we look at what most people are saying, is the ideal budget is somewhere between 6 and 10%. So the ideal budget for a growing company, okay, is 10%. All right. And we're going to show you why that is actually incorrect. Most people are shooting for if you ask what is the annual growth rate that you should be growing, and you ask your accountant, he'll say 20% a year is great. Okay. And everybody's shooting for the average profit margin of 20%. Okay. And then, so you should have somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Okay. In marketing, you should be getting back 4,000 to 6,000. That's the ideal. This is what everybody's talking about. Here's what happens in reality. For about 90+% of people that are solo operators. These are, I'm not talking about when you go online, folks, and you go online and you start looking for stats and you start looking for marketing and advice for small businesses. It's generally for small business that are brick and mortar and that are already established and are going to have 5, 6, 7, 10 employees. There's nothing out there really in the data, really hard data, on solo operators and solopreneurs and people who are running the average business, which is under $150,000 a year. Okay. When we look at the reality of the budget that people have, it's really around 3%. Because if you're doing 150,000, you're probably needing to take out about, some people are taking between 50 and some people are taking as much as 65% of that money for salary to pay themselves so that they can live because they have a mortgage. So if you've got a $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month mortgage, you need $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month in revenue to pay for your household. The majority of the money is going to pay for themselves. Then they got credit card debt, they got the vehicle debt, they got all the products that they have to buy, the services that they have to buy. So really, most people have around a 3% budget that they can really spend on average. The annual growth rate, reality is, after you hit that 150,000, it's very slow, because even if you grew at a 20% market, you get to a saturation point somewhere around 200,000, 300,000. You need to hire a helper. Now you got to decide you're growing, but you have no more money for marketing because now you need to hire a person. Okay. And then where are you going to get the extra percentage that you need for marketing to grow at the pace that you need to cover that salary? It's a catch-22. This is the problem that most people find themselves. All right. Your profit margin in reality across the board is really around 5%, because if you factor in what you're paying yourself, a lot of people are not factoring in profit and salary, and they have huge questions about that. So in reality, people have about $300 to $600 a month, maybe $9 if you're in that 150,000. If you're at 250,000 and you're really pushing it, because you're doing $1,500 a day in revenue, whether it's pool service, whether it's whatever the service is, this is mostly numbers for pest control. Then what you're expecting is, at least if you're spending this, you're expecting to get back an ROI of $300. The problem is most people can't sustain this for very long. They'll do the marketing for 6 months. What we find out is you get the marketing company that calls you. This is what's popping up on Facebook. This is what's going to be the phone call that you get. This is going to be like everybody going after you because they figured out what you're actually making. These marketing companies know exactly what you're making. They know roughly your size based on your online presence. And they figured out that where the 80% sweet spot is to sell it. So you get the call and somebody says, hey, can you handle another 13 to 30 leads a month? I got 13 to 30 leads a month that I can give you. Baloney. They don't have 13 to 30 leads a month. They're going to have to do some marketing and they want to sell you. And for the $600 a month, which is what most people can afford, I'm talking to people daily. All right. I get people that call me and says, bro, I can't afford. You go online and how much can you pay? So when you look at the real number of $600 a month, what is your daily budget? Well, if you invest only $20 a day and you get a 50% close ratio, which they pulled out of their butt, because in reality, it's a lot less than that. Especially when you start cranking up cold leads. When you're getting referrals, yeah, 50, 60, 80% close rates. When we start talking about cold leads from people clicking ads and looking for pricing, they're shopping around for pricing, comparing pricing, your close rate is not going to be 50%. So if you say, well, if the average pest control sale, I'm using pest control numbers, you pick your number, figure out what your average pool client is, lawn care client. I doubt it's $150. But if you're $150, if you only get 4 sales, you cover the cost. The ad pays for itself. No, it doesn't. The person who says that obviously doesn't know anything about running a business, and the person who agrees with them should not be agreeing with that, because you should know your numbers. You should know where your profit margins are. You should know what it takes to make the business profitable. And if you're falling for this is a myth, because you're not breaking even. You're losing money on every sale if you cover just the cost of marketing. Remember, going back to here, people are saying 10% budget. Well, you can't do it if you have those rates. So what are we looking at? You're asking the wrong questions online, because you need to first identify, to develop a marketing campaign. I don't care if you're going to do Google ads, if you're going to do GMB, Google My Business, if you're going to do GBP, it doesn't matter. If you're going to do Yelp, it doesn't matter. If you're going to do Angie's List, if you're going to do Thumbtack, if you're going to do a billboard, if you're going to put an ad in a local magazine, it does not matter. You still need to understand the basics of what it is. And most people don't know who their customer is. When you're zero, the biggest mistake that I see startup businesses make, and small businesses, the biggest mistake I see, okay, is that they don't know who their customer is. When I ask them, who is your customer? When I'm doing consulting and I ask this question, by the way, if I answer all of these questions for you, I just saved you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in the next year, because you can really do this. Who is your customer? Who's your ideal customer? Who's your avatar? Okay. Well, that determines what they can afford. What's their income? Okay. So if you're selling pool cleaning service, it's clients that have a pool. Clients that don't want to do it themselves. Clients that make X amount of money, because after they make an X amount of money, it's no longer worth it for them to do it themselves. So it isn't every person that has a pool, because there's pinch a penny, and I was a certified pool operator. Okay. I had a pool service business. When you're charging $80 to $100 to $120 a month, I haven't done it in 13 years. I don't know what the numbers are today, but you need to know what their income bracket is. Who are you going to target? Because with today's marketing, you're able to target certain areas by zip code where those people have the money. It's usually by disposable income. All services, whether it's landscaping, pest control, pool service, it doesn't matter. Whatever maintenance, regular window cleaning, it's all done from money, that discretionary income that a lawyer doesn't want to spend his Saturday afternoon mowing his lawn, doing his pool, doing his pest control. He doesn't want to do any of that. Okay. He wants to be able to do what he does, because he's already working. Chances are 60 hours a week. He's not going to do it. Your next door neighbor who has to mow his lawn every week because he can't afford a landscaper is not your customer. Okay. When will they be needing you? Is this like, are you building a pool? This is not something you're going to close. They're going to be clicking on ads and clicking on things, but that decision in their mind is probably 6, 7, 8 a year down the road, because they don't realize if they're building a $70,000, $100,000, $150,000 pool, that's not a decision they're going to make likely. So this is where retargeting ads come in, where people are saying, well, I did Facebook ads and they don't work. I said, you're doing the wrong ads, because nobody's going to Facebook to run ads. Remember, we're talking about search engine marketing, and Facebook has a search engine. Problem is, nobody's going there to buy pool service. Nobody's looking it up, who a pool service company is on Facebook. They're either going to Google, or they're going to YouTube once they like kind of know that's what they're doing. But you need the retargeting ads, because when they go to Google, when they get the ad on Facebook, it retargets them. So what do people fail to understand about marketing? It's that it's about brand and repetition and repetition and repetition until you're in front of that client, and that client sees you about 13 times. Whether it's in print ad, whether it's in ads, they don't just click once and make a decision, because they're going to go to the website, and then they're going to get a phone call, and they're at work, and then they're going to get distracted and say, I'll go back to this later. How many people like you get the call, oh, my wife's been on me to call a pest control company now for a month because we've had a roach problem and ant problem for 2 to 3 weeks. And people just don't get to it. They're busy. So the idea that if you put an ad out and they click your ad and they go to your website and they fill out the form, you're going to get a lead. That's not the way it works in real life. So that's why retargeting ads are important, because now what you're doing is they went online, they search, you pop up on their local area as a local company. Then they go to YouTube and they're watching a YouTube, and your ad pops up on YouTube because they got retargeted because they did a search. That's where the power of social media marketing is, in the ability to retarget the customer where the customer is at most of the time, which is either going to be Instagram or Facebook, or if you're younger, TikTok. Okay, so that's where, when will they be needing you? Where do they live? Is the customer buying where they live, or they're buying where they work? But most of the time, if you're targeting a money area, you're going to have to target where they live. So you don't want to be marketing everywhere. And this is why I'm talking about a hyper-local strategy, because when you only have $600 to, let's say, $900 a month, you're going to have to pick 1 or 2 things to do. You can't do 5. And you're going to have to narrow it down to be something really, really narrow, where you might be able to do retargeting ads and local ads and LSA ads, but you do it in a very small area where it's manageable, where you can now scale that. Instead of trying to cover the entire county, like, you call Yelp and say, well, if you pay us $2,000 a month, we'll give you the entire county. Do you really want the entire county? Because you think you do, but when you figure out your cost of traveling, if you're a pool service company, what I want to do is go on a map in an area, and I want to go to my county, and I want to go to Google Earth, and I want to look at every house that has a pool in that area, and I want to go knock on those doors, ones that have pools. Why would I be knocking on other doors to find out if they have pools? Why would I be targeting everyone? So if I was going to do within a 5-mile radius, I would pick every address with a pool. And if I'm going to send out a postcard, you see, so it's about micro farming, micro marketing, hyper local, but now you can do hyper local SEO and you can do hyper local SEM. All right. So why would they pick you? What is your USP? It can't be we're the best and I have 25 years of experience. Everybody is the best. There's nobody that knocks on your door, calls you, puts out an ad, and says, we suck, but choose us. Everybody's the best. You got to have a really unique selling proposition. You also have to start thinking about your brand. And I know that people who are starting up, who are $100,000 companies are not thinking about brand because they're thinking about Nike. Okay? They're thinking about Coca-Cola as a brand. We're talking about having a consistent look and a consistent message across all the platforms. When we're talking about brand, it's about building that local brand, building local trust, that people see you everywhere in that community and they think you're everywhere. And it's about building that brand. It's about being clean. It's about being crisp. It's about being consistent across the brand. That your logo is clean, that if you have all this nice branding and then you show up with no uniform and an old beat up truck, your image isn't consistent with what they saw online. Everything needs to be consistent. Uniforms need to be consistent. Trucks, the way they look, need to be consistent. Building a brand is really about consistency. What does the customer feel? What does the customer think about you when they read what you have? Why would they pick you over your competition? Because, by the way, if you're doing pool service, well, hey, it's chlorine and it's acid. No, it's not. If you're not checking the other elements, calcium and other things and minerals, what is it doing to the life of that heater? What is it doing to the life of your equipment? You will lose value. What you got to do is figure out what your competition is not doing that they should be talking about and creating that USP. How are you going to get their attention? It can't be pest control in, Havana. It has to have something that's going to get their attention, because what we're trading for, guys, understand, in marketing is attention. We're trying to get people's attention and everybody's busy. Everybody is like overworked. Everybody is stressed. What message can you put out that is attractive to what they're looking for? Okay. So that's what the questions you need to be asking before you go shopping for marketing. You should not be asking for prices until you understand, and a good marketing company is going to put you through this process. And what you're saying is, I just want you to put ads. I don't understand why you need all this stuff. It's necessary. Secondly, what are your goals? Because not everybody has the same goals. Not everybody wants to be $1 million company. Everybody thinks they want to be $1 million until they understand what the cost is to your mind, your soul, your body, everything, the price you have to pay to be $1 million company. This is why only 6 to 11% of businesses ever make it to $1 million. About 89% of people will never make $1 million in revenue. What are your goals? What is the growth rate that you need or want to achieve? Because if you're a solo operator, in your first year, you did $50,000, let's say, right? And in your second year, you're $100,000. Well, you just grew by 50%. You're doing no marketing because you're using referral business, right? Now you get to that 150,000 and life starts getting really hard for everybody. To go from that 150,000 to 250,000, depending on the market you're in, you might need another employee. So if now you got to shell out $36,000 a year for an employee, your growth rate is now necessitates something different. The growth rate that you needed at 250,000 to get that second truck with $1,000 a month right now note, with insurance and the way interest rates are, that's $1,000 a month to put a truck on the road, just a truck. So what is your growth rate? What is the revenue goal? First, what is it that you need to achieve financially to meet the goals? You have no clue if you're not doing that. What is your average ticket? Okay? What is your average ticket price? What percentage of those customers are you prepared to upsell to increase that ticket? 20, 30, 40% every time. See, because it isn't the price of the service that you need to look at, is the price of your ticket. The average invoice, what is the average invoice coming out to? Because you could sell a $49 service. Now you have to upsell it. What is the profit margin, gross and net? What is your gross profit margin? Why? Because if it costs you $150 to acquire a client, let's say it's at $15 a click. It took 10 clicks to somebody to fill out a form. or 5 clicks, and then you close only 2 out of those 10, or you close 5 out of 10. What is the cost and what is the profit margin? And what you don't realize that you're financing a lot of this down the road, especially when you're a service business on recurring income. Your ROI, your profit may not kick in for 2 to 3 months. You got to retain that client for 2 to 3 months. This is why one-time services are bad deals, because they're so uploaded up front with the cost of the sale, the cost of the marketing, the cost of the sale, because you got to pay a salesman a commission, whether you sell it yourself or you pay somebody else. That commission needs to be factored into that price. What is your profit margin? Or the time it's going to take to get the profit. Every time I do consulting, what I find is you're underpriced. You're consistently underpriced. What is the average close rate? So when you got all these numbers, then you can say, okay, this is what I want to achieve. What ends up happening between what you want to achieve and the reality are two different things. So let's say you have a revenue, to make the numbers even, of $15,000 a month. All right. But all you can afford is $600 a month. You're going to have to cut something out somewhere to get what you want, because the goal that you need requires a 25% in marketing. Why? Because in reality, in your market, depending on your market, that's a $3,750 a month to meet the goal, to meet the need, because anything less than that, you're just not going to get any attention. So now you need $3,700, but you can only afford $600, $900, because you're going to get sticker shock. Because what will happen, remember, is you're going to find that company that will sell you a GMB for $399, $699 a month. And let's say it only produces 4 to 5 calls, that GMB, which is going to be the average. The goal is to get it to about 12 to 13 calls a month on your GMB. But in order for that, your site has to be optimized. And what I find is that sites aren't optimized 95% of the time. This is why I'm talking about it, because what the need and the want and the reality are 3 different things. It's never going to be what you expect, because you're not basing it. You're basing it on what people are telling you their opinion is. Their opinion is online, not based on what they're actually doing. So when I ask a question online, I will get very few results, because I ask, what are you actually doing? I don't want to hear about what the rest of the world says. I can Google that crap. I can go to Google, and the average website is going to require between 13 and 30 pages. That's the average. So how many services are you offering? And how big of a website you're going to need? A 5-page website is never going to cut it. I'm trying to rank in our academy that I have, the SEO Academy, which is what I sell. Is we took a case study, but we're showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I told them, I said, I can't get you ranked because you have a cheap GoDaddy site that's free. I can't do H tags. I can't do anything in that site that for SEO, really. You're going to have to migrate it to a WordPress site that we can actually pull it out, because I just cranked out over the weekend 625 pages that I had the AI create over a weekend, so that we can start adding those 625 pages to our site within the next 3 months. That's how many pages I need in order to rank in 2 counties. Right now, that's just part of it, because that was only about 25 cities. We need to do it for every single service for about 68 cities that we're trying to rank in. You see the reality? It doesn't line up with the facts, with what you think it is. So when we're looking at our website, what is the ROI long term? Because people will say, if I build a site for $3,000 and I pay you $3,000 a month, what's my ROI? Nobody can tell you. That is a made-up number, if anybody can tell you, because if you start out with a website where you have a 0 domain authority, to get you to 8 to 10 could take 6, 7, 8 months easily. And you're spending $3,000-$4,000 a month, and they're like, but you're not ranking. But you're not ranking because you can't produce enough content to keep up with all the AI. So you got to do a lot of it yourself and create these pages yourself, which is why we teach it, because an SEO company is never going to get you there with that kind of money. With $600, $700, $800 a month, it's a joke. You're not going to get there. You got your GMB, your GBP, your Google business, and I'll type that in, Google business. Profile. All right. So that's organic. But you're also going to have to do some ads that I show you how to do for that local area that are really low priced per click to generate more calls and more clicks for your GBP. Plus, you have a backlink strategy that you need to create for the GBP. Show you how to create that. Now people are in, okay, social media. You need the social media to send the signals to Google that you're a legitimate company because you have social signals. People say, I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on TikTok. It is irrelevant what it is that you want. It's what Google is demanding to say, this is what you need in order for us to know that you're real, because there's so many fakes online. So when you're constantly posting to your GBP 3-4 times a week, when you have a website with 30 pages, and I'm going to show you a strategy that as we go along with this, let me see, where are we at? 33. I'm going to show you a strategy, and then I'm going to get into probably keyword research next week, which is the most important part of all this. Nobody does the keyword research. Nobody understands the keyword research, how it is that you have to do it. So if you're posting to your GBP, you're backlinking it to a local page or your local pages for that market. You're creating local pages. You're creating, for those main city pages, you're creating press releases on a monthly or a weekly, depending on the market. Look, if you're in a top 10 market, New York, LA, Miami, San Francisco, to pick 100 large markets. If you're in those 100 large markets, you're going to be spending minimum of $3,000 a month to $6,000 a month on SEO to make it work. What's the ROI? Nobody can tell you, because you got to build your ROI on your website, folks, is a long-term investment. There's not going to be an immediate ROI on a website, because you have to start building that asset. You have to start building it and creating pages until you get to 2, 3, 4, 500 pages. And this is over time. If you're only doing 8 pages a month, it's never going to happen. Now, can you do it? Yes, you can do 4 or 5 pages a day if you have the software. You can do this, and in the next year, what you're doing is you're building it out, and we're prioritizing, starting where you're at in the city you're in. We're prioritizing the city and then moving outward this way, versus trying to get everything all over the place, which you can't get because you don't have the money and you don't have the time. So now we get into, then you can get into local service ads. Those are going to run anywhere between $70 to $200, depending on the market you're in. Why? Because Google knows what the average ticket is. Google knows what the average ticket is, and they put the ads based on the average ticket. Same with pay-per-click. It's based on competition, what people are willing to pay for. Okay. And then you have organic and paid, with being in these directories. Add Thumbtack to that, which, people say it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work, I think it's that. The reason it doesn't work is because you didn't answer who, what, when, where, and how. You didn't really know what you need to get there. And therefore you went for the $600 plan that gave you, said, well, you're going to get so many leads, but your website isn't optimized, which we're going to look at. So what is the purpose of your website? Is the purpose of your website to be used to drive sales, or is it for SERPs, search engine results pages? You got to know why you're designing and how you're going to design that site so that it meets the purpose. You're saying, well, we're going to do mostly ads because we have the money for ads. Then we're going to be creating sales funnels and landing pages. That's a whole different website, cheaper to do, but you're going to have to spend a crap load of money to drive the traffic. If you say, I want the SEO because we don't have the money for ads, then you're going to create a crap load of pages over time, but this is going to be like trickled in, trickle, 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 trickle. This is not going to be instant. This is a long-term strategy that is part of your search engine marketing, strategy over time. So what is the strategy over time? Not how do I get an ad that produces instant results. You're going to find it's very difficult to really do this day and age because there's so much competition. Now, if you're in the middle of a town in the middle of nowhere, population 400, that's what you have for a market. Yeah, that's going to be really cheap, but you also don't have a market. So you have to learn what's going to work. What is it going to be used? Is it going to be used for Google, Bing, Apple Maps? You got to be on Apple Maps because there are people who use Apple Maps now instead of Google. So this is part of you look, guys, you can't do business today without having a real online presence everywhere where your customers are, regardless of how you feel about it. You got to be on the top 7 social engines that matter. TikTok, yes. You need to be producing for TikTok. Why? Because that generation is going to buy. If you're going to be in business for the next 10 years, you need to build a brand now. I watch TikTok videos. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yes, Twitter. I don't like Twitter. Doesn't matter what you like. You're trading for eyeballs. He doesn't care what you like. It's what they like. Instagram, you got to be on LinkedIn, especially if you're targeting commercial business. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on YouTube. And a couple more that are coming up that we're trying to be on. You need to be there. And this needs to be part of your strategy, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter. So when we look at that, and I've got, let me see, how much time do I have left? I got 40 minutes, and let me see here real quick. Go back to bed. All right. Quick question regarding something off topic. I'm looking for realistic practice tests for pest control license. Man, that's going to have to be depending on your state, because I don't know what state and what's going to be required to be able to answer that. Let's see here. California. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to find somebody there in California that, that's going to be able to teach you what's on that test, in the practice test. I don't know anybody in California. I'm sure if you go on my Facebook group, Pest Geek Podcast group, or my personal page, if you're following me, if we're friends, I'm sure if you put something on there, I got 4,000 people following me. They're in the pest control industry, and about 2,000 in that group that's really niched. So I'm good to have two websites, one for SEO and one for sales. No, it's one site. You only need one site for sales. Everything needs to be funneled, and you create a sales funnel, or you create landing pages, sales pages in that site, that you're at. Let's see here. Let me double check something. Yep. All right. So hope that answers your question. Any more questions? Let me just keep that board open. I'm gonna go and refresh this real quick, guys. All right. And let me go to the chats, make sure I didn't miss. All right. Yep. So if anybody's got any more questions, I can probably get into keyword, because I got about 15 minutes. I can get into introduction to keywords. So let me do that for those who are online. By the way, if you got any questions, feel free to ask me. Let's see here. Do I got any questions on I'm on TikTok right now, and I don't know if I have any questions there for that, what we're doing. But in Google, and by the way, I'm not going to do a demo on this because there's a million videos on it. There's thousands of people doing it. There's no sense in doing any of this. I'm just letting you know so that you can do the research. But your Google Keyword Planner, you're going to have to get an ads account and find out how to create an ads account. We go through this, how to actually do it in the academy. But for the sake of this webinar, which is to inform you about this, I found that 90% of the time, this is what I've always used for free. I do run ads, but I do get the full-blown version because I do run ads for testing and a lot of things. Google Trends, and then look up Google Suggest. I mean, with these three in your market as free tools, you should be able to do 95 to 99% of keyword. When we're talking about long tail keyword, you also look at it on Google. This is all on Google, by the way, free. You go look at Google also ask questions and Google feedback. Right there, if you're only writing 1 page, 2 pages a day, which is what most people can write, there's no need for you to spend any money on tools. It's not needed. You got all the free tools from Google. This right here, Google Suggest, is all on the Google site. Let me show you. Let me see if I can do this, and if it doesn't mess up. There we go. So when I put here a search, pest, let's say pest control. Let's do something else. Pool service near me. Right? Look at all the suggestions that are coming up. All of those are keywords. Pool service near me prices, pool service near me reviews. All those are keywords, folks. Those are long tail keywords. This is what you need to be ranking for: pool service near me, right? I click on pool service near me. I'm in Homestead. Who comes up first? Yelp and Angie's List. What am I telling you about advertising? Are you going to get everything you want from these guys? No, you're not. Okay? But look who comes up first, who is advertising there. All right? They win. Then you have all of the local cleaning companies. Very little reviews. You guys are doing a terrible job at trying to brand and market yourself when you have no reviews and your GMB is all messed up. 3.5 stars on 9 services, and they've been open for 7 years. That is terrible. You're doing it to yourselves, folks. I don't know how to help you with this. 16 5 stars, 3 years, and Swan Pools. Who's coming up? Well, guess what? Look who number 1 position, number 2 position, number 3 position. Facebook, pinch a penny, basically pool service guys, and people aren't doing any SEO. Zero. They're putting no effort into that. They're basically door knocking or doing something else or referrals. But if I wanted to, I could easily start a pool company and I would be ranking in the top 3 within 3 to 6 months, especially locally. Like if I started here, 90 days, I would be ranking in the top 3. I would put out so much content like it was going out of style. But look at that. Nobody's running ads. Nobody's running ads on pools. Okay, see what people also ask? Is it expensive to keep up with a pool? These are questions that you ask in the Q&A part of your blog. Okay? And then also related. There you go. Those are all keywords. Those are your keyword tools for free. When you add on top of that, we go over here, you go to Google Trends and Google Keyword Planner, which you're going to do probably 95% of your keyword search in Google Planner. You don't need anything else. So you need to know that. All right. Where are we at? All right. So, and we get into this in the Academy in depth because this is really where SEO is. It's about semantic or entity SEO. In other words, if you're a pool service company and you picked pool service on the GMB, Google already knows everything related to pool service. The whole amount of keywords that you need is not keyword driven or keyword stuffing anymore. It's what is the concept, and Google understands the concept of pool service. Why? Because keywords do not have entities, but entities have keywords. So pool service, you're going to have to find a whole bunch of topics on pool service. What is the correct pH for pools? You know, what is, people ask questions. Why does my eyes burn when they do the pool service? Because the pool has too much chlorine, because I can smell the chlorine. No, you don't. The reason you smell the chlorine is because there's free chlorine. The reason your eyes burn is because the pH is off, not because of the chlorine. You answer the questions with keywords. But the entity in pest control is the entity, or pest control service, according to GMB, is pest control service. Now Google understands that rodent control, ant control, and roach control are all keywords that are part of the entity. Go look at Wikipedia as an example. Let me show you. All right, we're going to go to Wikipedia. I'm going to show you this. All right. If I put ant control, okay, ant control in Wikipedia, did you mean rat control, ant control? So Wikipedia, like if I put rodent control, show you this one. You see, rodent control is part of pest control. This is a perfect example. Why? Because pests are rodents, birds, insect, or other organism, a habitat, feed or spoil. So it's under pest control. And if I can get, there you go. Okay. So everything that's under pest control methods, cultural, pesticides, genetics, hunting, forestry, fumigation, insulation is part of pest control. Rodent control, pantry pests, clothes moth, carpet beetles, mosquitoes. Why did ant didn't come up? Because ant isn't in there, but it's considered part of insects. So if I go here and I use the keyword insect control, again, it's part of pest control. It's part of fogging. It's part of, biological. Again, we go to pest control. See the semantics? It's about the semantics. So you got to know your target keyword, which is the target keyword for the entity according to, let's go look at here. Again, I'm going to go look at pool service because just right off the top of my head. All right. And you go to Google. I'm doing some training here, folks. Pool cleaning service, pool cleaning service, pool cleaning service. The category is pool cleaning service. Everything that falls under is going to be the category that you're going to target on your website. Because Google is telling you what the category is. There's no guessing this. They already know what they're looking for. When I go here to click on this person near me, the GMB isn't even optimized. GMB isn't optimized. This is bad. There's no services, nothing. Nothing is optimized on this. Let me show you what it should look like. This is one that we did for our test in Buena Park, California for a friend that I'm using. Here he is, number 3 in the market for that market. When you go here, look at the services. All the services are optimized. When you go to the updates, daily updates, weekly updates, when you go to here and you go down, go to the overview, everything is filled out. Every single thing on this site is filled out. That is required for Google to say, so the idea, what I see is that most people aren't even filling it out correctly. You're like, why am I not ranking? Just because you exist and you have a website doesn't mean it's gonna rank if it isn't optimized. So optimizing for the right category is your key. And again, here is the links. See, this is what a keyword looks like. So if you got ants, we're doing pest control. Like if I'm doing for ant control and I'm doing a search, well, ants is a word that belongs in your pest library. Ant control is one of your service pages. How to control ants in a home is a blog. And ant exterminator near me should be for your GMB. It should also be on one of your service pages, especially on your main page for that city. Okay? You should have a main page for that city. In other words, it should read, and I don't know how much more time I have. I got about 6 minutes. We covered this pretty much, which actually should be up here. I accidentally put that page in the wrong place. All right, we covered that. I just covered it. All right. So to give you an example of this, I'm going into the Google keyword search tool, and I'm looking for pest control. Pest control is the seed keyword. It also happens to be pest control or pest control service is the #1 search keyword. A generic term is ants. Ant control is a head keyword. In other words, this is what we're trying to rank for. Ant control Miami, Florida would be our local keyword that we're going to put on a page. And then pest control near me should be part of this page right here inside there. A long tail keyword for a blog should look something like this. Are there ant control professionals in Miami? See, that's a stupid keyword. That's stuff that comes up. Again, it doesn't matter what you're thinking. It's a matter. Now, biology, a precise keyword would be for a blog, biology of a German roach, or for my local page, for my pest pages, right? So if we want to know about German roaches, it should be part of that. Can I get rid of bed bugs forever? That's a question keyword. That should be part of your, let's say, your bed bug page over here. It should be part of the question that you answer. This is how you get those questions to pop up on Google. And a relevant keyword also is exterminating, which is related to control. Okay, so this is how you would break down all of your keywords in keyword training based upon the available keywords. All right, so let me answer a couple of questions here. Let me go real quick. Are you creating pages for every town you want to rank in through all keywords? So like town number 1, pest control near me. No, the way Facebook user, I don't know who you are, so I don't have your name. What you would create would be like this. Let me show you. I'm gonna jump ahead just for you to answer your question. Okay, so this is what the page looks like. Wait until it pops up real there. We're going to get into rich snippets and things like that, structured data, things you need to know. But there's your home page. Your home page is pest, whatever, mypestcontrol.com. Your pest library would be pest library, and then ants would be another page, which this is a parent-child. All right. Pest library, then you get into ants, then you get into specific ants. Then you have your service pages and control, right? Your main service pages attached to this. But then your local pages looks like this. So in other words, it would be pest control, the keyword, the city, and the state. Always the keyword city and state. You need to put the state in there because there could be 2 cities. Like, name a city that I think there's one in every state. There's one city that has it, something field. Now I forgot where Bart Simpson used to live. There's one in every state. So you need to specify which one. Then I would create a local service page like this, and control and the city. This is backlinked to this, okay? And this is already there. So you backlink this to this, interlink it, and then your blog, right? And control solutions, whatever, you link it back to this, which links back to this. All pushing up the main page, which links this and control page should link back to this. This should all be interlinked with each other. So you got to create 10, 15 interlinks to make all of this relevant that all pushes up this one page. Okay. So to show you what I do, if you put pest control near me, all right, here's where I am. This is my company. Here we are, right here. Okay. This is an ad. Here we are. There's my page, number 1 on Google. Google already knows where I am because I have the keyword in there like that. And then I wrote the content to have all the relevant keywords in it. Google will rank me. And pick any city for a keyword. This is how you do it, folks. There's no other way. So I'm going to go ahead and quit. It's 9 o'clock. Send me your questions. If you want to message me on your questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them on air. Let me know what you need. And if you got any questions regarding this for next week, I'd be glad to also to answer the questions for next week. Hey, folks, have a pestacular day.